This morning, we are following new reporting that an indictment could be imminent for President Donald Trump. The former president, according to the New York Times, now fully in the sights of the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, which is signaling to attorneys for the former president that Trump could face criminal charges. It all is related to that hush money payment to adult film actress Stormy Daniels before the 2016 election. Sources tell the Times prosecutors now have offered Trump the opportunity to testify next week before the grand jury that's been hearing evidence in the potential case. Many legal experts say it would be unusual for a DA to notify a potential defendant without ultimately seeking charges against him. Two defense attorneys for Trump confirmed to NBC News Trump has been told through his lawyers he can appear before the grand jury. The attorney said such an offer is standard and that Trump was not issued a subpoena compelling his appearance. The attorneys also disputed the Times' reporting that criminal charges could be forthcoming. Let's bring in former U.S. Attorney and senior FBI official Chuck Rosenberg. He is an NBC News legal analyst. Chuck, it's good to see you this morning. So just following the pattern here and what we've seen historically with calling a potential defendant in to testify before a grand jury, does it look to you like an indictment may be coming here?
Well, let me answer it this way, Willie. I think so, but there are certain things we know with some degree of certainty. Right? We know they're near the end of the investigation. You wouldn't invite a defendant to target into the grand jury in the beginning of an investigation or in the middle of an investigation. And more specifically to your very good question, we know that prosecutors are seriously contemplating charges. So why do I say that? Because if they weren't, it's really easy to shut this thing down, right? If you don't believe you have a case and you don't believe that you're going to have a case, regardless of how much longer you investigate, you just shut it down. And so the fact that they're inviting Mr. Trump to testify before the grand jury means that they're near the end and they're seriously contemplating charges.
Is it worth, in any case, Chuck, having a potential defendant, in this case, former President Donald Trump, if you're on his side, if you're his attorney, go in and testify before the grand jury, or does that just do more harm than good?
Oh, good gracious, no, Willie. It does more harm than good. Look, there have been cases, and they're extraordinarily rare, where a target of an investigation, a putative defendant, goes in front of a grand jury and convinces it that he or she ought not be charged. But no, typically a defendant, a subject, doesn't do himself any good because, number one, he would have to answer questions under oath. Number two, of course, he would be subject to perjury. Number three, anything he said could be used against him. And we know that when Mr. Trump was deposed in a civil suit brought by the Attorney General of the state of New York, he invoked his Fifth Amendment right not to answer questions hundreds of times. And so any defense attorney would very likely tell Mr. Trump there's nothing to be gained from testifying before a grand jury under oath.
Hey, Chuck, good morning. It's Jonathan. I want to put to you a question we've asked a few legal experts this morning, just to how you see playing this out, if indeed there is an indictment. And again, this is an historic moment. No former president ever charged with a crime. But if that were to happen, so let's make that supposition. What kind of timeline do you think we would be operating under? Your best guess, because we know that Trump, of course, would have tactics to delay. We also know, of course, that this would be happening during a presidential campaign. So what do you think this would look like were it to happen?
The timeline, Jonathan, would be long, but criminal cases have their own pace to them. They have their own sort of life cycle. Civil cases, and we've seen this play out over years, often take years. There are lots of delaying tactics that a well-funded defendant can bring to bear in a civil case. But in criminal cases, you have something called the Speedy Trial Act. And while it can be waived at certain times for certain reasons, they do tend to move more expeditiously. By that, I don't mean quickly, Jonathan. I think there would be a lot of pretrial motions and possibly some interlocutory appeals on issues that the former president could raise. But by and large, criminal cases move more quickly than civil cases, and they ought to, because we're talking about liberty and we're talking about the pursuit of justice. And so the timeline would be long, but not as long as we often see in civil cases.
And let's remember Michael Cohen, the former president's former fixer, spent more than a year in federal prison in this case. He says he cut the $130,000 check to Stormy Daniels and then was reimbursed from intermediaries through Donald Trump. Former U.S. Attorney Chuck Rosenberg will be keeping an eye on this as it moves along. Thanks so much, Chuck.